Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Martin Luther King holiday celebration, and we're fortunate to have with us two persons to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement this morning. Dr. Bernard Lafayette. Dr. Lafayette is the president of American Baptist College, and of course with Dr. Lafayette is Dr. Warren Moore, the executive director for the Tennessee Human Rights Commission. And gentlemen, let me welcome both of you to the show this morning to talk about what I consider to be a very, very important topic. Dr. Lafayette, before we start this morning, let me simply say that I think in dealing with the Martin Luther King celebration that we could not have been more fortunate to have two persons like yourself and Dr. Warren Moore, persons who played very, very significant roles in the King campaign during the period. And let's start off by having the two of you to give us some information about your background and some of the things that were important in terms of leading you to the present positions that you hold. Let's start with you, Dr. Lafayette.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Haney. It's always a pleasure to be with you on the show, and I always look forward to visiting with you because you're a man of so many resources and such breadth of knowledge about so many issues related to history. My background basically is that I'm a native of Tampa, Florida, and I grew up in the South during the days of segregation. And I came to American Baptist College as a student back in 1958. And as a conscientious student who was interested in social change and issues and that kind of thing, I was part of the youth council for the NAACP when I was in high school. I've always had a strong interest in these kind of issues. Well, I got involved in the sit-in movement here in Nashville, along with Diane Nash and John Lewis and Jim Bevel and a lot of other students from Tennessee State and also from Vanderbilt and Peabody and Scarrett. And it was just a really great opportunity for us as young people to make an expression of how we felt about certain policies and conditions in our society. And as you remember, Nashville was the first sit-in area that came through. We actually broke through and desegregated the lunch counters in the downtown area of Nashville. And Jim Lawson, who was also a student at Vanderbilt at that time, was very instrumental. Well, I was on the Freedom Rides, and I worked with Dr. King in Selma, Alabama, and in Chicago and other places. So I've had an excellent, just unusual experience during my younger days in working with Martin Luther King. And in the final analysis, I worked with him at the Poor People's Campaign as a national coordinator, and on SCLC's staff, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, as a national program administrator, working directly with Andrew Young, Honorable Andrew Young. And I also had an opportunity to go to graduate school after I finished American Baptist College at Harvard University, where I received a master's and doctorate degree in education administration. And then this opportunity came up here at the American Baptist College, where they wanted a dean or vice president for academic affairs, which brought me back to my alma mater. So this is my academic home, and it's in the last 3 years I've been serving as the president of American Baptist College. And it's been such a wonderful experience and such a great challenge. And I can begin to see how many of the experiences I've had through the years have led me to this position. The opportunity to save a black institution.
Very good.
And so I'm following the footsteps of one of my educational mentors, Dr. Henry Ponder.
Very good. Very good. Dr. Moore, your background and some information about how you eventually ended up as the executive director for the Tennessee Human Rights Commission.
Well, I'm from Memphis, and having grown up in Memphis, I had a pretty clear idea of society. However, my first notion was to escape. So I left Memphis, and after a short period at Wayne University, I went into the military. And having been in Europe for a few years, I really didn't want to come back. But coming back and starting school again at Lemoyne College, I really was there, so in my mind, as a transient. I really thought that I would sort of collect myself and head back off to Europe or somewhere else. But the sit-in demonstration started, And I was swept right into that because that, I guess, represented some fascination or distraction from what I was thinking about at the time. So I really got involved in that, not so much as a diversion, but as a way of bringing some really meaningful content into my life, and especially as it addressed the environment. I guess largely as a comparison to how I was being treated in Europe as compared to how I was being treated at home. And especially having been in the military abroad and come back here and have to go back through the same desegregated, the same process of trying to integrate and desegregate. I was somewhat discouraged, but anyhow, as I got involved in the demonstrations, I had to make up my mind about it. I had to decide whether or not this was a real meaningful thing to do, whether it would make a difference. But I was convinced, really, that if I would give a couple of years to that, we would clear it up, we'd integrate the whole society, and then we could get on back in school. I really thought it was a short-term project. I said, well, the target is clear. We understand each other. We've been in the same environment a long time together, so I'm sure we know who we are. So we started. But as you can tell, we've been at it for some time now. And the issues are different, but the targets are still the same. The targets are still us. We're still the targets. So, you know, the odyssey is fairly simple. I was introduced to Dr. King. I followed him. I suppose, in modern parlance, you might say I was one of the groupies, that whenever he was around, I certainly wanted to be in the audience. I followed his movement. I ended up in Chicago working for the Woodlawn organization, and over in the slumlord section, where we were trying to address some of the inequities in housing. And that's where I ran into Jesse Jackson for the first time as both seminary students. So it's sort of been a training, learning experience for me over a period of years. And it was sort of a natural thing, I guess, to come back to Tennessee, right back to my roots, to get involved in trying to deal with the issues from the perspective that I most understood. And graduate school at Scarrett College and later at Vanderbilt and Ohio State, where I received my doctorate, and back to Tennessee again in human rights.
Very good. You know, Dr. Lafayette, I think that as Dr. Moore has indicated, both of you simply share a sort of a lifelong tradition of being involved not only with Dr. King, but in the civil rights movement. And I think, Dr. Lafayette, as you indicated earlier, you are now the president of American Baptist College. Now, American Baptist College itself has a long tradition of being involved in the civil rights movement that predates Dr. King in a real sense. Let's talk about that as a tradition in the college and the role that it has played in that area.
Well, the American Baptist College was founded by both the Southern Baptists and the National Baptists. And with that kind of twin history, it was probably the only college in the United States that had an equal number of whites and blacks represented on the Board of Trustees. It was sort of an enigma in the sense that it survived the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and the really critical 70s. So I think that the kind of contribution that the college has made through the years in terms of its leadership, John Lewis, for example, as I mentioned, and Jim Bevel and C.T. Vivian. We can just go down the list of John Rouse, who's over at the vice chair of the publishing board, and Julius Scruggs, who's now the state president of the convention. The leadership that this school has provided has been tremendous. And you had more people.
Let me interrupt you, Dr. Lafayette, and take this commercial break, and we'll be back and talk about the leadership of American Baptist College. We'll be back with you following this commercial break.